Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Saturday Morning D&D Show. My name is Jordan, with a silent PH in the middle, and I am joined always by my wonderful co-host, Sir Lucian, over at Sir Lucian Gaming. Say hello, sir, on this fine Saturday, December morning. Yes.
Hello, everybody. It is a fine Saturday, December morning. Very cold out. I think we're going to get some snow a little bit later this week. I don't know how much snow you guys gotten so far, but
it all went away.
Get a little bit.
It was here, and then it disappeared. And now it's like 50 degrees out and really nice. Yeah.
So it should be pretty good. There's a big weekend going on. Lots of gaming happening all over the country. And it's some conventions I'm sure we'll talk about in just a moment. Yeah. But I think it's good.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
All right. I'm very excited. This is awesome. I am drinking some coffee as my baby decided to stay up most of the night. And so I literally rolled out of bed like 30 minutes before we had to do this show. So I apologize, and my hair's a mess. But thank you for being an audio podcast listener and not knowing what I look like right now. I really appreciate it. We are a D&D talk show. We talk about all kinds of Dungeons and Dragons things. And we're going to start off the day with a Dragon Plus video. What is a Dragon Plus video for those of us who don't know?
Yeah, so that was the name of the one on D&D, their channel, their YouTube channel. And they just call it Dragon Plus. And I think it's mostly because it's hosted by Bart Carroll, who does Dragon Plus.
Okay, yeah.
So, and usually he brings on Jeremy quite often to do Q&As, especially if a UA article had been out.
Right.
So this was the bring Jeremy on and talk about what we talked about last week, which was the psychic UA article that we got last week, and we got Jeremy's kind of rendition of it. So if you want a little bit more information about what that article was about, or UA article, and why they did some of the things, or some of the ideas that they had, or where they were going with some stuff, that's a good video to go ahead and check out. They also touch base on the much longer UA article, which was the one with all of the new changes to the classes, and even had feats at the end of it. It was like a big long UA article, the one just before that one, and they hadn't quite got to all the questions of that one, so they did a few questions there. So it's a nice inside look at what Wizards of the Coast is thinking when they're building those UA articles, and I'm still excited about them. It does sound like Dan Dillon did a lot of work on that, and we know Dan Dillon's a new hire that's over there, one of the new hires for last year. I say last year, I guess we're still in 2019, so this year, which was cool. So we get to see some of his work that's going into it. And they did really say that they wanted somebody that was like, some of those themes were coming from different pop culture areas, and some of them were a harken back to how things used to be. But they also said they weren't trying to create a new system. This is another way of them trying to figure out, can they do it within the system they already have? So they've had, like we talked about last week, but there's 3 different ways they've tried to decide how they want to bring psionics into this world, which maybe means next year, 2020, we get a psionics-based campaign setting of some sort, or at least one that addresses it.
Yeah, I wonder if it will be a campaign setting, and then that's where the new, or not a campaign setting. I'm sorry. Actually, I'm going to back up. Tired. I was thinking it was going to be, and it very consistently comes back, and it's just frustrating. But what I was saying is, I was thinking it was going to be an adventure that involves psionics. And then they'll kind of put it in there, because I don't know, maybe they'll do another campaign setting, but I don't think they can do a whole psionics campaign setting, if that makes sense.
Sure. Right. Yeah. Well, or they could do one where it was featured prominently.
Right.
So like in Dark Sun, I think it was featured prominently. Probably in Spelljammer, it's featured prominently. I don't know about Planescape, if they dived into it too much.
Do you think it'll be wrapped up with those new subclasses that they had in Unearthed Arcana 4?
I think
one big
Jeremy, the impression I got from the video is that Jeremy's really pushing to do it that way, versus we create a whole new system, or it's like a sorcerer point system, or a psionic point system, or it's hey, let's create a whole new book for it, so that here's your psionics handbook, like they've done sometimes in the past. I think Jeremy's pushing for, let's just make subclasses that are flavored enough that they give you the psionic subclass you want, and you can flavor it so it works, and we don't have to redesign the system that we have at the moment. that's the way I'm guessing it's going to go, because he seems like that's the way he's pushing. And I imagine that they listen to a lot of his suggestions quite a bit. So
Okay.
that would be my guess, but I don't know. I mean, I could be wrong. We're
probably going to get one or two adventures next year and another like Xanathar type book, or maybe a campaign setting or something. But
right.
Who knows?
Well, how many? I think we always say this, and I always ask the question. I should have looked it up before we started the show. But how many books did they release in 2019?
Oh yeah, I don't know.
Because I imagine they'll release that same number or one or two more, because it seems like they're ramping up production to really get books out and really take advantage of the resurgence of Dungeons and Dragons in the pop culture world, and just the popularity of Dungeons and Dragons. That feel like they're really riding that wave right now. So I'm thinking we're going to keep seeing. I don't know, was it like 5 or 6 books last year that we got?
It was 4, unless you count
4?
Dungeons and Dragons Essentials kit, and then it was 5. So it was Avernus, Eberron, Acquisitions Incorporated, Ghosts of Saltmarsh, the Essentials kit, and Rick and Morty versus Dungeons and Dragons. So
yeah, well, the re-release of the Dragons of Tyranny book.
Mm-hmm. That's true. I forgot about that one. That is not in my internet Google search. So yeah.
So that's what I assume we will get next year. I assume we'll get another big live show, bigger, better, stronger. It might even turn into I still think we said this quite a few shows ago, but we might be seeing the birth of a new convention or the birth of a new event that a convention grows around it. Mm-hmm. Just like Gen Con kind of started small with certain companies, but then it grew into this big thing where all these companies are coming, all these game companies are there to do that now. We might be seeing the same thing with this live event for that too. So, other than that, they didn't have a lot. I'll skip down one more there, where for the new year, they started announcing, hey, we're going on vacation. We'll be gone for 2 weeks or whatever. It sounds like Wizard of the Coast is really good about letting their employees take a good extended vacation, especially towards the end of the year. And it sounds like a lot of them are going to be doing that.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing we're not going to see very many announcements until they're back from the new year. So I don't expect too much until January now. I was hoping we'd get something in December, a teaser, but I'm thinking maybe not now. I don't think we probably won't hear about what the next book is until January. Is my guess. So other than that, all of our great friends and buddies and pals are all living it up at PAX Unplugged at the moment. That's the big convention.
The who's who of the D&D Twitter community.
Over in Philadelphia. Have you been to Philadelphia before? I was there last year.
I've been to the airport, but that's about it.
That's not good.
No, I flew through there to get to New York, but I haven't really explored. But I know Nerdarchy wants to have a convention next Halloween 2020, and they want to do it in Philadelphia. And then I assume PAX Unplugged will be there again. And I kind of want to try and hit both of those conventions. So I was like, maybe I'll go to Philly twice. We'll see.
Yeah. That'd be cool if he organizes that. That's cool.
Yeah,
I did see that they were out there. He was doing interviews, which was really cool. I walked around. It's a pretty nice convention center if you haven't been to one before. Mm-hmm. Parking's a little weird, so if you're going out there, kind of get ahead of the ball on parking, or just get your hotel super close, pay the extra money just to be super close, kind of like you did with Gen Con. Yeah. So you didn't have to worry about too much. You were close-ish to the convention center.
Not as close as I wanted to be, and I definitely think next Gen Con I'm going to try and get in the housing lottery and see if I can't get closer, because that would be nice, but we'll see.
Yeah, but that's about it for news. Super short because we're just at the end
Presents.
Of the year. Oh, well, there we go. Take it away.
So Dice Camera Action is no more. Wizards of the Coast officially came out and said that they're canceling it or just not renewing it, basically, and to say, hey, thank you for all the fond memories. We did a whole bunch of episodes, but we're not picking it up anymore. But we are starting a new video. I can't think of it. Live stream game. Thank you. And it's called D&D Presents or D&D Presents. It's Christmas. I don't know. And that'll be in 2020 January. I think they're going to start that. And it's kind of like, it's cool. I'm really excited they're doing it. Chris Perkins is going to DM again. They're keeping 2 cast members, Nathan Sharp and Anna Prosser. And then they they just kind of got rid of the problem kids. And not that they were problems, but in Wizards of the Coast mind, they didn't want to be associated with their brand with these people because of reasons. So Pro Jared and Holly Conrad won't be joining, which is a little sad. I didn't follow Dice Camera Action, but I followed Acquisitions Incorporated, and I liked Holly's Strix character a lot. And I like Anna Prosser's Evelyn character a lot. And it's kind of sad to see that both of those will be gone, because they're going to start with brand new characters, a new campaign, and things like that. So it's just kind of like, I don't know. But we have 2 new cast members replacing them. Micah Burton, which Lucian told me before the show, because I was like, I don't know who she is. And they were like, well, that's LeVar Burton's daughter. And I'm like, oh. And I like LeVar Burton, so that's really cool. She is a professional cosplayer, esports host, actor. She just does a bunch of cool nerd stuff, I guess. I feel bad that I have been oblivious to her. I'm not really sure what she does, but I'm not in like a lot of cosplayer esports circles. So it kind of makes sense that I don't really know. And then we also have Jonathan Indovino. If that's
the one I was having trouble pronouncing. Yeah.
And he is a Twitch streamer and YouTube star. And I checked out his YouTube briefly. It looks like he does a lot of video game YouTube stuff. He seems like a cool guy. So we'll see if the synergy's there. Chris Perkins is really good about making the synergy happen, though, I think. So, but
yeah, they got a good core.
You need good friends to like bounce ideas off of each other. So we'll see if these guys replace it well. And who knows? It would be fun to start watching it from the beginning, because Dice Camera Action was going on a long time, and I'm like, I just don't. It's kind of like Critical Role. Like, I like Critical Role, but I do not have the time and patience to listen to like 94+ hour shows to catch up. And so I kind of listen when I can, but I don't know.
I'm excited because I want to see Chris Perkins DMing a brand new campaign. I'm hoping they're basically first level characters. It sounds like right from the article that they're going to start with the D&D Essentials kit, which is awesome because he wrote that and got it all ready to be this perfect little adventure that any DM could start with. And we're going to be in Phandalin, which is a place we know. It's definitely going to be Forgotten Realms. They gave us some character names, but not too many details yet. But I like the idea of, I guess I'm always excited about new campaigns starting. And long campaigns for me are hard to stick with. Even me as a dungeon master, I struggle trying to keep my campaigns running a long time.
Yeah.
The excitement for me always comes in that week or two before you're going to start a campaign, and everybody's building characters and talking about what they want to do or what their character is going to be. And everybody's super excited, and you're excited about, oh, I've got this campaign idea and they're going to get to do this thing. And this is the very first plot string I'm going to throw out there. And this is what the whole campaign's based on. And that excitement level for me never seems to be greater than at the beginning. Like the beginning is always super high, super hyped, and you're just really excited for it. So I can't wait to see it. I think I would have been into Dice Camera Action a little bit more had I been there from the beginning, but since I didn't, I came in halfway. I kind of watched a few episodes here and there and then would bounce off it, come back every now and then, watch an episode, bounce off. But I always like the idea of getting to watch it right from the beginning. And I like low-level character play. I love watching people try to maneuver when their characters aren't quite superhero yet, and not in that 8th, 9th, 10th, 15th level, whatever. And they don't have all kinds of crazy magic items. They don't have all kinds of crazy different things. So I'm excited to see what it is. I want to see Chris Perkins' style again. It's been a while since we've got to see him dungeon mastering. He's done some live shows here and there. Those are more performance based, I think. But I want to see I almost want to see Jeremy, do some more of those, or just some more of the Wizards of the Coast people putting on, doing those on the live Twitch channel version of it, not that go to the show and they have to put on a big production,
right?
Because I feel like those are kind of a different show than a normal show.
I think
those aren't your typical Sunday afternoon D&D sessions.
No, it's interesting that you say like you like new or you get excited for new stories to begin, because we're in like a conundrum right now, because one of our players, basically his schedule doesn't work out very well. And so we normally play 2 games a week, but we're going to switch it back to 1 game a week. So the consensus has been, we need to finish Acquisitions Incorporated because we're really close to finishing it. And then we'll go back to Ghosts of Saltmarsh and I'll run that. And then we'll finish that. But one of my players was like, well, how long do we have with Ghosts of Saltmarsh? And I'm like, well, you guys are level 7. I think it goes to level like 13 or 14. So you're, maybe halfway there. And he was like excited to keep playing, but kind of bummed out because he has an idea for a game he wants to run with us. And since we're only playing once a week, we need to finish this one. And I was like, no, this is why I kind of, and this will get into a little bit later, but Matt Colville had a really good video on downtime. And he said it was probably one of his most important videos, even though it in his mind wasn't going to like take off like an important video, but what he had to say was really meaningful to him. And that, D&D used to be modular in that you would run a campaign that was like levels 1 to 2 or 1 to 3. And then you would find another one that took you from 4 to 6 or 4 to 7. And so you kind of just play games like that. And it was really easy for people to jump in and out. Like, okay, yeah, that was fun. We got to level 3. Let's start this one over here and make new characters, But the current Wizards of the Coast plan is these year-long or even double years of play, and these epic campaigns that just take a really long time to get through. So I don't know. I also get really excited, and although I'm excited to keep running Ghosts of Saltmarsh, I can totally sympathize with him to be like, but I'm excited about my game now. I want to play it right now. And the only thing I could be like is like, I don't think I can join that game if you want to play it right now, but go find friends. Like, you don't necessarily need us, if you really want to be a DM, go be a DM. But yeah, so right. I don't know.
Yeah, that video was really good. It reinforces that the way Matt Colville likes to play is very much the way I like to play. Mm-hmm. And I fall into the same traps that he was talking about, because he was like, that's one of the downfalls of his newest campaign, the Chain of Akron. He's like, I've already made a huge mistake. He's like, I decided to make this big nebulous campaign that never really has an end to it. And that's never been my style. He's always like this, there's like this start and finish for him. And then there's a big break. They can do some other things, or they can do these, like you said, the downtime one shots that he talked about, or they could play some other games, or another DM could run some, and then they would come back and they might do something else with that campaign a little bit further on. But the way he pitched it in the Kickstarter was, we're going to start a campaign and it's going to be like Critical Role. It's going to run for 2 years. Everybody's going to get to level 20 before we even think about starting over. And that's just not the style he's used to playing. So he kind of admitted, that's been my big mistake. I shouldn't have done that. And I feel that I'm the same way. I'm not built as a dungeon master yet, or at the moment, to be a 1 to 20 level campaign designer, runner, facilitator, whatever you want to call it. I'm more at home and I have more fun running small chunks. And they could be varying chunks. They could be, hey, let's run a 4 to 7, 4 to 8, like you said. Hey, let's run a 1 to 5 and see what happens. Let's run a 10 to 12 and see what happens. But the campaign itself is going to be maybe a 10 session, maybe 20 at the most, but even that's quite a few sessions. Like my Secret Revenant on the reboot of it at this point is on session 19. This Monday will be session 20. That's the longest I've gone on a single thread campaign so far. Like, I'm always rebooting or restarting, or let's do new characters, or let's do this. I don't necessarily get through all of those sessions. So I know there's lots of players that want to play long campaigns, and I get it. I mean, you just got to find the dungeon master that's really good at that. Not all of us are good at that. I'm definitely good at let's build lots of different campaigns that we all get to play around with new characters and new mechanics and new ideas, and just see where they go for a little while, let it rest, and let's do something else at that point. So I can see what you're falling into there for sure. Has he said what his cool campaign idea is, or has he kept it to himself so far?
Oh no. So it was a Kickstarter, and it's called the Wild and Weird, or the Weird and Wild. I can't remember. But
is that grants?
I don't know.
Oh, the Wild and he did one called. I'm thinking of Grimworld. Maybe that's
Wild and Weird by Charles Ferguson Avery.
Okay.
And it's a supplemental book for D&D, and it comes with custom spells and this world, custom spells, custom monsters, and it's in this really interesting world. And he wants to do a very low magic setting where we have to do like gritty survival in the forest. And he's really excited about it, and he's writing this whole thing. So it's not a game that's being pre-written, but he's using this world and then he's writing the game around it. And so, yeah, I was like, yeah. And he likes the idea of us like multi-classing into magic, but like starting, level 1, we're not going to be magic users. We're going to be just like regular everyday people. And then maybe we get something that unlocks us. So at level 2, when you become level 3, you can be a level 1 warlock. So you'd be like a fighter warlock or something, or access wizard or clerical magic. That's his plan. And it sounds really cool. And I'm like, no, I'm willing to play in just about anything if the dungeon master is really excited. Because like, if you're stoked for this, like there's got to be something that you think is really cool that I'm also going to think is really cool. So
yeah, I can always find a fun character to play.
Yeah.
I got a million concepts. Yeah. So that's pretty cool. So I think that's what I'm excited about. I think with them showing their different live shows, it gives people a lot. I always like the idea that there's lots of different versions of how to play D&D out there, because I do like Critical Role, but I also am absolutely aware that most of us can't dungeon master like that, or it wouldn't even be fun if I tried to. That's not the type of game that I think I would be good at running, or even trying to run as a Matt Mercer game. I have a lot of fun running it the way I run it, which is very combat heavy, very player mat moving miniatures around heavy, probably because I like, miniature games. Other people really like theater of the mind stuff. Other people like switching storylines. Other people like long campaign threads. And I love the idea that there's so many different ways to do it, so that anybody that wants to do this doesn't have to think, oh, well, I don't do it like that person. I don't do it like Jerry Holkins does it, so I guess I can't really be a dungeon master. That's not true at all. There's a million ways to be a good dungeon master. And just do it your way and find the players that want to play in that game that you're making. So
yeah, absolutely.
Love it. So that is it for news. Yeah. And that leads us on to my favorite little segment that we've created. Even LB Hackemup said she liked the segment a lot. I'm still getting Jordan to buy in and get on board with it, but it's our Bartek Inspiration, or our Appendix D session.
I've got an intro. You ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Bartek Inspiration. Thank you.
Yeah, awesome. Great. Record that and nailed it. Well done. So mine, I know I put Jordan on the spot because, like he said, he was up with his kid, which is definitely a legitimate excuse for now. I don't know how long we're going to let him keep using that, but for now, we'll let him get away with it. But mine was, I've been playing a little bit of Destiny 2 on the PC, and some of you may or may not know what that is. And that's the point. I hope you're one of those people who don't know what it is, because it's this really fun sci-fi-like game that has a really deep story in it, but I don't think everybody's been out in there playing. In fact, Jordan, have you played either Destiny or Destiny 2 before?
Nope, never.
See, so that you're the perfect person for this idea. So my Bartek Inspiration is taking people that will never play this computer game, they're not really into shooters, they're not really into MMOs, they don't really like to play computer games much, they like their occasional board game, and then they've got the rest of their life, but that's about all they do for gaming. Maybe their one role play game that they play in the week. That's the type of player you want for this. And what I do is I completely steal the whole storyline for Destiny, because not only am I enjoying the storyline and the things that they made as I run my character through this, I can then sit there and think, you know what, it would be really fun to bring 4 other people who don't know anything about this world and run them through this as a campaign, this whole storyline of what's going on. And you could use visuals from the game, just screenshot visuals that you could throw up just to give them an idea of, oh, this is what we see. Yeah, and here's a creature that you might fight and you don't know what it is. And they're building their characters and they're building their abilities and learning about this world as they go. And the whole thing, I just get to go in and I can play for an hour and then go, oh, okay, I want to run that little nice side mission that sounds really fun for my next session. I write down the stuff, I draw out the map, I stat up a few things, and I'm ready for a session. I like maybe an hour's of prep time, and I'm good to go. Plus, I'm playing this really cool story. And it's not a story written by one person. It's a story written by hundreds of writers that they have over at Bungie. Mm-hmm. So you've got some good stuff to pick from. Not that their stories are the best, or not that this game is the best, but you could take this Bartek Inspiration, this Appendix D idea, and you could really put it on anything. You yourself could say, you could go find a bunch of players that never played the Baldur's Gate PC game, and you could run the exact storyline out of the Baldur's Gate PC line. Or what's the game you've been playing recently?
I haven't been playing anything.
I feel like I saw you playing something not too long ago. Like had been playing. Oh, I forget what it was. It was on Steam, and I'm like, oh, he's playing that. I should play that with him sometime.
I don't know. I just bought Divinity Original Sin 2, but I haven't opened it up yet.
Well, you could do something like maybe you have some friends that aren't big Nintendo fans, so they don't buy the Zelda games. They know of that name, but they haven't really played the games. They're not Nintendo people. They're modern warfare people or whatever. You could take the storyline of what's happening in a Zelda game and easily move it right into a group of players that have no intentions of ever playing Zelda, but let them experience the story of it. And you're doing it through a role-playing game. So that was my Bartek Inspiration. I thought all of you out there, you could go to the comments and the YouTube video that gets posted this week or this coming up week, and you could say, what game would you like to run as a tabletop role play for a group of people that have no intention of playing that game? Like, so for me, it was like Destiny 2. I'd love to find a bunch of players who never have any intention of playing Destiny 2, but then run them through that storyline, because it's an amazing, fun, and cool, evocative storyline that could be put into a game. So great dialogue, easy to build maps from, because you could just run through it until you figured out that, okay, this is the area, I could draw that out. Great art assets for references and deep lore that's coming from many writers, not just one, which should make it a stronger overall lore encyclopedia or lore wiki that you could look up and draw from. I feel like it could be a really strong way to run a game. Yeah. So that was my Bartek Inspiration for this week. Did Jordan come up with one?
I did. Cool. Last minute, but here's what we're going to talk about. So I listened to I actively listen to a podcast called Roll Up and Die, and it's about RPGs, and they mysteriously just kind of stopped posting episodes, like, I don't know, it's been 2 years now. And then randomly, my phone downloads a new episode of Roll Up and Die, because they just like made up a new episode. And they acknowledged, they're like, we've been gone forever, but we just had an idea, get the gang back together and do an episode. And they were talking about pulp adventures, which are those larger than life characters. And those characters, like Doc Savage and all these other things, they really, Indiana Jones is like a pulp character. They really lend themselves to RPGs because the characters you're playing are technically larger than life in that world. Even though you're level 1, you have magical powers and fighting prowess that your average peasant doesn't have. And so I like that idea. And it got me thinking about media that I consume now. And one of my favorite shows back in the day was Doctor Who. And I really like Doctor Who, and I like the story structure of Doctor Who. So circling back to what you were talking about, pulling stories and things like that, where, the Doctor and the TARDIS appear and they have an adventure on whatever like random planet they're on. And then at the end of the episode, they get back in the TARDIS disappears, and then we wait a week. And next episode, the TARDIS appears and they're in Rome, and they have an episode in Rome and they're running around like this. And it's like every week is just different, but we always end with them getting back in the TARDIS safe and disappearing on their next adventure. I've always wanted to run a D&D or a role-playing game campaign like that, where I have a group of, say, 8 friends, and I'm like, guys, I want to run a game Friday night. Come to my house if you can make it. 4 or 5 of them can make it, so they show up. They all have their characters, and we roll or we play whatever 2 to 3 hour game that they have a mission for this one shot basically. And when they finish, they all go back to headquarters. And then the next week, maybe different people can come out and they can all kind of come out and do stuff. I don't know how that worked with leveling. I don't know like that, but I really like the idea of these non-secular story arcs. Like you can kind of just pick and choose characters and play, but you are, as a dungeon master and as like maybe the players that are more committed, you are getting like an overall story and you're growing with these characters and things like that. So I don't know. That was kind of my Bartek Inspiration. I liked the idea of, I want to, and there's other systems for this, maybe Monster of the Week, although I haven't played that, but the title kind of lends itself to being better. But I like that idea of this also kind of spawned, I'm rambling now, but this also kind of spawned from I've wanted to do a improv comedy show like Doctor Who, where the Doctor comes out of his TARDIS with his companion, and then a bunch of improv actors hop on stage and pretend to be aliens or pretend to be Abraham Lincoln or something like that. And then you do a 30 to 40 minute long form improv sketch based on what you're giving. And then they go back in the TARDIS, they disappear, and it doesn't matter because the next episode he'll come out and it'll be something completely different. And I feel like you could,
I was thinking Sliders as you're saying that old TV show Sliders.
That's exactly, and you don't have to necessarily watch them in order. You could just sit down and watch an episode and you know these characters and you like it. And so, I don't know, I really want to run a D&D campaign like that, and I wonder if it could work.
Here's the funny thing too. Yeah. As you're describing that, I just realized you have just given the perfect definition of a West Marches game.
Yeah?
Back in the day when we were talking about West Marches, like, I don't know if I know what West Marches is. What you described is exactly that, is a West Marches game. It's this idea of every session is encompasses itself.
Yeah.
You go out, you come back. There could be different people each time. Some people might have a connection, but it could be a loose connection. And like you said, the people that show up the most probably have more of the story, but it still allows for people just to come up and be one-offs or one-shots, and it's over. It's just all inclusive. You're back at town and you're done. So it's not these long-running campaigns that I seem like we've all fallen into lately.
Yeah,
you just
it's almost like
described the West
D&D
Marches.
has to be these really long, epic things, and I was like, but it doesn't. You know, we can just play a game. I was in a game of Blades in the Dark, which is a fun RPG.
Yes.
And my friend that was running that was trying to do exactly what I was describing. So there's a city in Blades in the Dark, and I forget its name, but you go to the city, and then there would be some kind of... Blades in the Dark is based on heists. And so there would be like, we'd have to pick up something, we'd have to steal something, we'd have to murder somebody, we'd have to kidnap, or I don't know. It was something like that. And so it was always like we'd assemble a team, we'd go do the heist, we'd come back, and then we'd like have downtime figuring out what we're doing next. And then the following week, Jordan would come again, but like 3 new people would show up because other people couldn't make that week. And so then it would be the same thing. These are the people I'm gathering for the mission, and we're going to go out and do that. And it was interesting. I don't think it worked 100% how the DM wanted it to work, but he was like, it's an experiment. We're going to try it out. And like, the more we played like that, the more I think we could figure out how to make it work. You know, that's
exactly what happened to my West Marches game, is that it was an experiment. I had the idea of what I wanted it to be, and I got maybe 80% close to that, but I didn't master it and I didn't get it perfect. So I definitely needed more ways, because you have to nail the 1 episode per session formula, the magic of a really fun, everybody loved it, but I got it all done in 1 session. We didn't need to all come back and finish.
Yeah.
You know, and I think the one thing that throws it off is, if you're going to do it for D&D 5e, is that the combats can take so long that it's hard to judge how much you're going to put in your session. If there was a way to streamline that combat a little bit, I think you could do it. And I was choosing 3-hour sessions, whereas I think if you're going to do that style, I think 4-hour is really the better. It gives you enough time to do everything you need to do. I was trying to do it in 3-hour, and that might have been too constraining for what I was trying to do. But yeah, that's exactly what I wanted. Had tried to experiment with also, because I thought it'd be cool to be very episodic. And it was this idea that more people could be involved, because if they can't commit to, I can come every single week, they might not ever join your game. But if you said, hey, anytime you have between now and the next six months, and you can make 1 night, you can come play a game. Yeah. You don't have to commit to all the other games to play. So you get a bigger, diverse group of people playing, which I think is really cool. So I like it. That's great. Bartek Inspiration.
I want to have
one last one. I'm going to slip a 3rd one in here. Not that we really need it, but this is a short one. Everybody should put a Baby Yoda in their campaign right now immediately. Just do it. Get the picture. Put it up for your players. They will all love it. Everybody is going gaga over Baby Yoda. If you don't know what I'm talking about, shame on you. You should find out what I'm talking about.
No, there's no geek shaming on the Saturday Morning D&D Show. It's okay to not know about things.
Shame. I'm loving that show so much. So
yeah, it's a good one.
That is it for Bartok Inspiration Appendix D. what about playing games? Now, did Jordan actually play
I did.
Dungeons and Dragons this week? Well, tell us all about it.
It's crazy. I only played one game. So my Hand of Vecna Shadowfell game, which is the one I'm really excited about that one. But with the holidays and with baby Oliver, we decided maybe we'll try again in 2020, like in January. So we'll kind of just get through this I don't know, this December, and then try to pick up again because my wife's playing in that one. And so we have to figure out like, well, we have to take care of the baby, but she also wants to play and things like that. And I have to take care of the baby and I have to DM. And so our friends are understanding. So we're kind of just taking some time off with that one. But my other group, my Ghosts of Saltmarsh group, we did get together and meet, and that was a lot of fun. And they're in a transitional period where the Ghosts of Saltmarsh book gets you to level 5, and then the next adventure is level 7. So I've been doing side quests for them to kind of level up from 6 to 7, so I don't just automatically say you're here. And it's been fun because they've been able to do downtime. They've been able to explore the city a little bit more, and they actually got in a boat and went to Keoland, which is the kingdom to the north that kind of governs Saltmarsh. And within Saltmarsh, there are the loyalists who are, loyal to Keoland. And then there are the traditionalists who are kind of like, we want to be our own independent thing like we were, and we don't want the crown, bringing us down and telling us what to do and stuff. And so there's these two factions that are kind of fighting. And it was fun for them to be able to go to Keoland and see what was happening. There's also this Church of Shar that attacked them in Saltmarsh, and so they kind of wanted to see, like, is there a Church of Shar in Keoland, and like what's going on there? And they discovered that it's not as evil, like it's not a good church. It's kind of a cult, but definitely not as evil as the one in Saltmarsh was. And so they're getting more puzzle pieces, and they're trying to figure out what's going on there. It was a lot of fun. Our artificer fully switched over to the new artificer from the playtest content. So he was running around with a bunch of new abilities and stuff and was really excited about his artificer, which was fun. They got into it's funny. So you talk about like, you like combat, and this was very much a non-combat day, and I think my players felt it too, but it was like necessary, if that makes sense. I'm like, we're kind of in a place where if you don't show aggression, like the people in the city aren't just going to come out and kill you and things like that. So they're trying to coerce you. They're trying to do a bunch of other things. And one of these Cult of Shar members was explaining to our artificer that if you want true power, Shar does not offer that. But there is a chained god that can bring you all the power you want. All you need to do is offer up your soul, blah, 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 blah. So he kind of met with this guy in the middle of the night in a street alley to get more information on this chained god. And the agreement was, come back here the next night, but bring a human sacrifice, and we'll fully indoctrinate you into this chained god cult. And he's like, okay. And so he did something that was very unexpected for me. He found a drunk next to a bar and gave him 50 gold and a note and said, I want you to take this note to the place with that guy, and I'll give you another 50 gold once you do that. And the drunk homeless guy was like, oh, okay. And so he took the money. We rolled persuasion and stuff, and he was really good at it. So he took the money, and the note said, here's your sacrifice. I'll be back later. And so my artificer didn't actually meet up, but he did send somebody to the slaughter to kind of like get in with this cult. And it's really interesting. And we have a paladin that's like kind of against all of this. And we have a artificer that's like really interested in all of this, I don't know, crazy stuff that's happening. They got back on a boat to head back to Saltmarsh because that's where the main campaign is, and that's where they needed to go. So when they got back to Saltmarsh, they finished a couple quests here and there. They got a quest from some merfolk, some Tritons, that were saying that the river was being polluted into the ocean and that their home was getting polluted because of a night hag in the forest. And our friends went and killed that night hag, but they could never find any pollution. So when they got back, they kind of confronted these 3 Tritons and said, we didn't find any pollution. and we don't think you are who you say you are. And it turned out that these 3 Tritons were actually 3 sea hags who had like beef with that other hag. And this was a side quest that I came up, or that was in the book that I kind of modified to make it happen. So they ended up killing these sea hags, which was a fun, close fight. And they got a really cool item called an iron flask. And this is in the DMG, and it's a magical item that holds a demon. And when you open the iron flask, a demon will come out, or a demon that was trapped in it will come out, and it will serve you for exactly 1 hour. Then it will turn on you and attack. So they're really excited that they have this item, and they're not sure exactly what they're going to do with it. But again, the artificer is like leaning towards these dark places. And so he's really excited that he has this demon that he can like run around with. And then you can actually capture other demons into it and stuff like that. And that was our Ghosts of Saltmarsh. They're now level 7. So we're able to like get back on track with the story. And I'm going to push them to, well, I'm not going to push them, but they've agreed to go into this Sahagwin fortress to kind of explore and see what's going on there, because they're afraid the Sahagwins are going to attack Saltmarsh. And another thing, I have to go get it. It's over there behind me. But my my players really want a ship, and they bought a broken down ship that they're now repairing. And one of my players wanted us to have a physical ship to sail around on. So hang on.
If you want to see the assembly of this was on Twitter also.
I did. I put it on Twitter. So yeah. So this ship, you assemble it with magnets, and it's etched wood, like, and it's really cool. And so I got this boat that has multiple levels and stuff, and this is their sailing boat, so I can have all kinds of cool stuff. Monsters climbing up the side of the deck of the ship. We can have all kinds of battles and things like that. So it was a really cool Christmas present. And so that was really awesome. And I'm excited to use it at the table. I think it'll be awesome. And I want to do more naval combat stuff now that I have this. So whenever they get their boat fixed and they start going out and kind of exploring the ocean, we'll be able to use this, and I'll be able to do a bunch of nautical adventures. Because again, Ghosts of Saltmarsh, really great random tables in the back that you can roll and be like, oh, this attacks your ship, or, oh, you find another ship, or, oh, you find an island and it's got all of these things. And so it's really fun to be able to just roll randomly and create a scenario for them as they go out into the ocean. And I like that a lot. I'm really excited. So it'll be fun once we get there. But yeah, now we're only playing once a week, so we'll see how long it takes us to get through Saltmarsh.
Might be a while.
So, but really
Very
fun.
cool.
I like Ghosts of Saltmarsh a lot. I'm having a good time with it. I recently finished reading Descent into Avernus, and it's weird because Descent into Avernus has the higher production quality, and it's an original story. It's not like a rehash from older modules kind of a thing, but I prefer Ghosts of Saltmarsh over Descent into Avernus. Like, I thought I would really like Descent into Avernus, and it's a fine adventure, but if I had to choose between the two of them, I would definitely choose Ghost of Saltmarsh. I think it's really interesting and well written, and the way I'm running it with the downtime and stuff like that has been really fun, because there's new mechanics that I've been able to do lately, and have complete sessions where we don't do hardly any combat, because there's so much for them to explore and so many people to talk to get information from, and to, shop and to do whatever they want to do. And so it's been really cool. Yeah.
Are there still a lot of dice rolls happening if there's not combat?
Yeah, there's persuasion checks. There's things like that. There's deception checks. There's stealth checks to hide from things. There's things to do that. But yeah, I mean, not a ton, but yeah. It's definitely, I've usually always been very combat heavy, and these last couple sessions of Ghosts of Saltmarsh, just because the way the adventure kind of fell into place, they had to do a lot of talking to gather information, and that took up the majority of the night. So they did get that one awesome combat with the Sea Hags, though. So don't think I'm not throwing them any combat there, Lucian.
What is this D&D non-combat game you're playing? Blasphemy.
Ridiculous. But yeah, what did you do in games this week?
So we had our typical sessions, our Monday and Wednesday sessions at the moment. So Monday night is the Seeking Revenor West Marches style game that has kind of turned into the one group that I'm running at the moment, because I wanted a nice long storyline to go through here. And I'm using a lot of the Strongholds and Followers stuff from that book, from Matt Colville's book. So they have a keep. They called it the Abbey of St. Timor, which was one of the characters that had died in this abbey as they were trying to clear it out. They were on their way to fight at the Black Pyramid and then had realized that an army is marching on their keep. So they had to hurry back to defend their keep. One of the things that Matt Colville always says about that is it's not really theirs until they've defended it at least once, which I really like. So there's this army of several units of what I'm using is Norkers, which are some Greyhawk kind of goblinoid-like creatures, a little bit modified for my 5e campaign. I'm using some Gnolls on Direwolves as some Vanguard. And then I've got this back line of kind of like heavy troops, which is a group of Ogres, a group of Trolls that are guarding the main Stone Giant. And then I've got a couple of Hill Giants, which are acting as like siege weapon kind of guys, right? And the players had decided to stay hidden outside of the keep. As soon as this army started to fight, they were going to come in from behind and try to assassinate the general to see if they could break this army without having to fight the whole thing. But it's quickly all just gone to a mess. But what's really fun is we've had this really big map in Roll20. We've got the keep drawn on there. We've got the units moving around. We're using some of the unit combat. They had a unit of mace and shield footmen that came from the Temple of Helm, which is one of the paladins is for the god of Helm. And they also had a unit of elven rangers. They're called Wayfinders that came from, there's an elven city to the north that they're friends with, and they have a unit that helps them out. So they had 2 units, and there's other units that are fighting each other. So we're getting a little bit of like unit on unit action, but we're also right in the middle of that. We're getting players fighting other creatures, and they've fought the ogres and they've done pretty well. But now the trolls and the giants are about to descend upon my level. I think they're all like level 6 or 7 right now, but they're pretty powerful characters. And it's just been really, really good. Like everybody's been talking about the session. We're midway through the battle. It's going to be a 2-session long battle. I mean, we started the session off with fighting. We went the whole session, we called it, and there's still going to be probably another session of full on fighting. So like I went the opposite. You like we didn't do hardly any. I'm going full on. There's nothing else in this. It was very similar to when I ran, not a big spoiler, because when you run the campaign, you might not do it. But in Storm King's Thunder, there's a battle of Tribor that could happen if you decide. There's like different ways you could take your party, and I took them to Tribor. And there's a big battle that happens. That battle, when I ran it for Storm King's Thunder, took us 3 sessions to resolve because there was so much going on in this town being overrun by this horde of giants. Very similar to what we have now. So it was really fun to jump back into that. My players are very tactical. They like to use all their abilities. They like measuring things out. They like coming up with weird combinations and synergies. And the battle's going up and down, and they got their barbarian did a crit, and he's got like polearm mastery, and he's using a great axe and all this craziness, and all of a sudden does like 47 points of damage in just one single hit or something crazy. And it's just like, so big damage is being thrown out, and it's been epic. It's been really fun, and they all had a really good time. They're talking about what their plans are for the next coming up session. So that's the thing that I'm always starting to recognize if my sessions have gone good, is by how much they're talking in between the session. So if they're doing a lot of, because we use a Discord channel where they all can chat and talk about what they're doing. If they're focused on, oh my God, what are we going to do in the next session? I know I've ran a pretty good session. If it's crickets and they're not really talking about anything, I feel like, well, all right, maybe I need to up my game a little bit. These guys need to be invested. So that's been really cool. I really enjoyed, we've got to use some stronghold actions. So like the Paladin has been able to use a Stronghold action from the book of Strongholds and Followers, which is the one he chose was a really cool one. It's these golden chains surge from the ground being powered by Torm, his god, and they wrap themselves around all evil aligned creatures on the field. So it's just like all these golden chains just grapple them and then hold them down, and they have to make a grapple check if they want to break out of it. So this really cool cinematic scene. And for the first time, our druid, because he got his grove done, which is an add-on addition to the keep, I allowed him to do his keep action, and his was he was able to summon 1d4 shambling mounds, but we kind of use like the treant picture for him. So he brings up 3 of these treant CR6 creatures in the battlefield, and they're going to battle with these big giants, and it's like epic, and they're all just loving the idea that all these things are happening, and all these weird abilities are coming together, and they're really getting to fight. So I've had a really good time with it. It's kind of energized me again. I feel like I'm about to hit a big lull though, because when this finishes, I don't know what we're going to do next, because this is kind of the culmination of one big story thread and we're done. So now what happens? So I'm in that area of everybody's campaign where you get to an end point and you're not sure where you're going to go. I almost assume like it's when they defeated your Black Pyramid. Yeah. And now you were starting to think, well, they want to go home. Do I take them through the Shadowfell to do that? Do I do this other thing? Do I, what am I going to do? I'm at that spot now where I have to kind of decide now, where does the campaign go? There's still a big overarching thread, but what are the other little things that are happening? So I have to kind of decide that. So we're getting to that point, which might work out because we could take like a Christmas break, give me some time to really think about what we're going to do, and then keep ramping that up. But this is the longest I've ran any campaign so far. So it's been a struggle for me to keep interested in running it when it felt slow at times to me, or like I wasn't really getting things done, or I don't know. I'm never as excited as I am in that very beginning. That first week you're going to run a campaign, my excitement level's through the roof. And right now my excitement level's like halfway for that, right? It's good. I'm enjoying it. I'm loving it. I love their enthusiasm about what they're seeing and what's happening to them, but I'm still not as excited as I was that day I started, Seeking Revenor, which was really super cool. So I might have to go back and find a way to get more of that excitement back into me. The Wednesday night game is the Tomb of Annihilation game. I still, hands down, think this is the best campaign to play in. I agree with you that I bet Ghosts of Saltmarsh is written better than Descent into Avernus. I still want to play more Descent into Avernus, and we are doing that with LB Hack'em
I'm
Up.
not trying to it's a fine adventure.
No, I think that Saltmarsh book
apples
is
to oranges.
really good. Yeah, that Ghosts of Saltmarsh is one of their top. That first chapter in that book is one of my favorite reads to this day. It's really good read, and so I really enjoyed that. But playing this Tomb of Annihilation, once you get to the city of Omu and you're doing the other stuff and you're working through this, I just love this campaign. It is so good. My character is Vanguard, the War Wizard. We're 4 or 5 levels down. We have no idea how much more we have to go. I don't want to spoil it. It's a nice big puzzle thing going on right now that we're having to try to figure out what the right combination is to get to the spot we need to go. We keep triggering things that are almost killing us. And the further we go down, the traps have gotten way and way more deadly. Like they're starting to hit for some really serious points. People are taking 45, 50 points at a time in just a round, and all of a sudden hit points are going crazy. You're just like, oh, this is dangerous. So that's all really good, but we're getting lots of good magic items and stuff too. So that's been really fun. So it's been, what I like about it is the diversity of the traps, the puzzles, but then the encounters that are happening while it's happening. So we're getting a good variety of traps, RP encounters. Like you might come across somebody that's been trapped there. You might come across a body. You're trying to figure out how or what happened to them. You're trying to figure out a message that's been written on the wall, or you're just RPing with your friends and your NPCs in your party. And then the really good combat stuff of things you haven't always seen, things that are meant to counter adventurers. I don't know if it's a big spoiler. Well, it's a spoiler, so I probably won't say it. I recommend that you go play this. If you haven't got a chance to have a dungeon master run you through Tomb of Annihilation, definitely do it. Make your way through the jungle part. The jungle part is a lot of slogging through hexes, a lot of wilderness stuff, and you might feel like you're a little lost, but I guess in a way you should feel lost in a jungle. But once you hit that City of Omu stuff, man, it's really, really good. So I love it.
Want to... So I've been thinking a lot about, my group. We were playing Wednesday, Saturday, and Sunday. My Sunday group is kind of like twice a month now, maybe. and that's my Vecna game. And my other two groups was Ghosts of Saltmarsh and Acquisitions Incorporated, and now that's going to be just once a week. And I really want to do like a Tuesday or a Friday game. And I was thinking, I really should try to run online Tomb of Annihilation or Out of the Abyss, because those are the two that I really enjoy the most, the two modules that Wizards of the Coast had come out with. So it's on my, I'm really thinking about it because I like Tomb of Annihilation a lot as well. It's fun.
Yeah, and just like in chat there, they said, we're talking about Discord. We should put our Discord link. We do have a Discord channel for all of our fans to come and talk about all things gaming in our Saturday morning D&D show. I'm sure, do we have that link? Let me see if I have it active here.
Yeah.
Should just be create an invite, right?
Invite people.
Let's try that. Sometimes we can do links in chat. There we go.
Yeah.
Hopefully that works.
Come join us.
Have fun. Talk to us all about that stuff. So that's what I've done. What's interesting, I think we should talk about a little bit is, are you already starting to get the, hey guys, Christmas is coming up, we need to figure our schedule out. That talk has started about people trying to figure out, can we play or when we can't play?
Like we can't play next week because of a Christmas work party and it's already happening. I'm going to have like 2 weeks off during Christmas, and I wish my friends had more time off as well, because I'm like, I would run a game like every other night. So maybe that's what I need to do is do a couple of one-shots with you guys and stuff like that. So
yeah. I'm always that same way because I don't do a ton with my family over the holidays. I like to take holidays and be just me, my wife, and doing things, and we kind of do our things together. But there's a lot of time for me just being home, and it's just like, this is the perfect time for gaming for me. Though I know many people do travel, and I know many people do lots of birthday parties, or not birthday parties, but like Christmas parties with different family members in different areas. So I get it. But I want to play games. I want to run games. I want to run Aliens. I want to run what I got over here. I got Forbidden Lands. I've got Overlight there. I've got all these cool games to play. I got to play them. But that's about it for my playing in Dungeons & Dragons. Our next Saturday game with LB Hackemup for more Descent into Avernus, I think, is in 2 weeks. So I got a couple of weeks yet before I jump back into my Tabaxi Monk, which has been really fun.
That's cool. What level are you?
We just hit 3rd, so I just was able to choose my path for my monk, and I went the one that has all the elements because I wanted it to be a very elemental style monks, so I could really pull on stuff.
I like the flavor of that, the elemental monk, where you can use your key to do burning hands and things like that, but it has been like, it is well known to be the worst monk path. Not saying anything, like, you'll make it work and you'll have a lot of fun. Even a bad monk path is still a good monk. Like, it's kind of like the fighter. Like, even the Eldritch Knight fighter, which is the worst of all of them, is still a really good fighter. But I really liked the Elementalist monk. I thought it was kind of like Avatar: The Last Airbender cool, and I liked.
And that's what I was going for, because mine was very much. I'm doing a very Naruto very style monk for mine, and it's so I wanted to be able to do those kinds of call on a fire-based thing, or call on a water-based thing, or call on an air-based thing. Yeah, for sure.
That's really cool.
So yeah, I wanted the lightning hands, my Chitauri.
That is awesome.
For all that. So that'll be good. And I'm still enjoying LB Hackemup as a dungeon master has been really good. Danimal DM, he's my Australian dungeon master, has been fantastic, and I'm still having really a lot of fun running my games. I really should run a few more, but like you said, you've got the kid. We've all got I
think I'm good
kind
with
of
3 a week.
Stuff that happens.
So
yeah.
I'm gonna try and keep it at 3 a week, and we'll see what can happen. So,
all right, cool.
Yeah. Just a heads up, it is PAX Unplugged. If you are an Acquisitions Incorporated fan, they are going to be streaming that on the Acquisitions Incorporated Twitch channel tonight. I think I'm going to watch it live. Usually I catch it on YouTube later, but I have not a lot going on tonight, so I'm going to be watching that, and it'll be a lot of fun. Maybe I'll see you guys in chat.
And they're in hell.
Yeah.
That's really where excited. They left off. They really are in hell.
Love it. Fantastic. That is our show, ladies and gentlemen. I want to thank you guys for allowing me to wake up. I feel really energized and refreshed, as aside from my maybe 3 hours of sleep I got last night. But you guys are really, really great. Thank you so much. Thank you for liking, subscribing, sharing, all that other fun stuff. We really like having our followers be active in the chat and things like that. So we love all the YouTube comments that we get. If you do listen to us as a podcast, rate us on iTunes, rate us on Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. That would be really great. Also, I lost my train of thought.
Also, need more sleep.
I need more sleep. Yeah. Okay. It'll come back to me. Oh, join the Discord. If you are interested in our Discord, it is, there's a link in the description of the YouTube channel and in the show notes for the podcast. And it's, I believe it's active all the time. So let me know if it's not, but it will, you can just join. Anybody's there. We kind of just share whatever D&D stuff is going on. I think the other day I put in like Tiny D6 was having a huge sale, and so I kind of told people like, hey, it's 85% off if you want to grab all these like tiny dungeon stuff. It's really cool. So we try to be pretty active in there. Thank you again, ladies and gentlemen. We will see you next week with another episode of the Saturday Morning D&D Show. I got to go to my thing slide here. Okay.
I'm ready.
Bye, everybody. Thank you so much. Take care.
Bye.